Today's episode was our last stop in Nashville with Miss Hannah Juanita. Hannah's got a new album out called Hardliner, and it came out this summer. It's a really cool conversation where we talk about her life as a musician, as a singer-songwriter, as a traveler. She's been a nomad throughout her 20s and been to Oregon, Washington State, a number of different places, and then found her way back to Nashville and into country music. And so we discuss all of that, all of the cycles of life that we all go through. So I think y'all are gonna enjoy this episode. Stay tuned to the very end. Her and her friend Mose play it out with a song off of that most recent album. So y'all be sure to check that out, and hannahjuanita.com to find out more about her. Y'all enjoy. The Converse Cowboy Journey has given me an opportunity to sit down with some amazing performers from all walks of life, where it is my job to tease out their habits and routines so that you can apply and test in your own life. I've learned, I've grown personally, I've been enlightened, and I've been humbled. Above all, I've realized there is no destination in this life, no goal achieved, or money made that can replace the feeling of flow and the pursuit of doing what you truly love to do. With a growth mindset, I'm constantly asking questions and pursuing knowledge. The Converse Cowboy is a platform that allows me to do just that. I'm excited and eager to share their stories with you all. I'm Mike Roberts, and this is the Converse Cowboy. Brought to you by Kerry Kelley-Bitsspurs and Schaefer Outfitter. So let's start out by talking about the new album, Hardliner. You released that back in June. 11 tracks on this album, and I read somewhere, it was maybe another interview you did, or somebody was talking about the record, and it says it's a love letter to leaving and spirited to the life of a rambling gal. So how's that been? Typically folks come on before they release the album, so I think it's kind of cool to get this perspective. It's been out for a little bit. How's it being received, and what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I think it's going good. It feels crazy to have a record out. It feels like a long time coming for me. I think it's going well. I got one of my songs, Our Love Is Done, was on a Spotify playlist, and Sweet. I think that's a big deal as an independent artist to get on a Spotify playlist these days. It's one way that people find their new music and stuff. So, streams are going well. I've had a lot of purchases from Bandcamp and things like that.
Right on.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's been pretty good.
I was going to wait to get into it, but you mentioned Our Love Is Done. And the video that you guys did.
Yeah.
You and Sierra Farrell and all of your girlfriends.
Yeah.
How did that even come about? Like, how does that?
Just some wild ideas in my head. I don't know. I kind of wanted that video to be a bunch of girls kind of commiserating kind of vibe. And I wanted it to be I just had this vision of a cute little trailer and I wanted a living room setting outdoors. I've lived outside a lot and just doing farm work and living off the grid and things in my past. And so but now I live here and I have electricity and I got running water and I have nice things. I have a bed again, and it's I was trying to kind of combine those, fancy with outdoors and living outdoors. Yeah. And so I had this idea of kind of an outdoor living room, getting ready, the rollers,
the beer can rollers were
pajamas,
classic.
yeah. Yeah. And White Claw. I think Sierra had White Claw cans in her hair.
Tell me about that day though. How long did it take to shoot that?
All day.
And did y'all just have fun the whole time?
Yeah. Yeah, we were pretty drunk by the end. Yeah, legitimately drunk. We started, I was definitely up early that morning. We probably started, maybe midday.
Yeah.
And then, that nighttime scene, dancing and, the fire scene, that's all was that same day. So we just kind of planned it where we rolled with the sunlight,
So I know, of course, Sierra Farrell, but were any of the other girls in there, are they musicians as well? Or are they just friends?
There are some, yeah. They're friends and musicians. Chelsea Lovett is a musician in that video. Christina Vane. is also a musician in that video. Becca Ray Cope sings some around town, and she does really fun covers. I'm trying to remember. I don't want to leave anybody out. I think they're mostly, I think that's all the musicians in there. And then a lot of my friends that are other kind of artists and dancers and things like that. Yeah, that video was shot by Michelle Kowalski, who's another one of my friends. She has Killer Kowalski Productions. She's from Baton Rouge, actually.
Oh, sweet.
And lives in New Orleans, yeah.
Very cool. Guys, if y'all haven't seen that, go on YouTube, check it out. Our Love Is Done. You won't regret it.
Yeah, I think there's 15 women of Nashville in the video. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, let's do this. I'd like to go back and hear where this whole music thing started. And of course, we're going to get to the move from Washington State to Nashville, but let's go back even further than that. Like, I know your grandfather played guitar. You grew up singing in church and were in the school choir.
Yeah.
Talk about like some of those early influences when you were coming up.
Well, you know, I wouldn't say I'm come from like a musical family. It was, you know, my grandfather played guitar and I have his Gibson to this day. Yeah. And so I remember him sitting around on, you know, Sundays kind of playing. But that is honestly like one of the things in my life that I think about that I'll never get to do, that I really would love to do, is like play some like bluegrass song with my grandfather, you know, because I started playing pretty much right after he passed. So, you know, by that time, when I started playing, I was probably like 13, just kind of taking lessons for fun. And, yeah, like I was the only one in my family doing music. And so the way I was raised was more like in school and, you know, focusing on, you know, making money and getting a secure career and whatnot. So I never thought of music as like a real career path, that kind of thing, you know? Yeah. So it was always just something I did. I just loved singing, and I just, you know, that's my favorite thing to do. So, but then, yeah, slowly I went through my 20s, like doing all kinds of things, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And, you know.
I want to dig in on that. So you were working a job at that time and doing this music thing on the side?
I did like a lot of different things. Basically, all in my 20s, I lived out in Oregon, and I worked on pot farms. I worked with kids. I would work for 6 months and then quit my job and like go traveling and explore. Like, I went and I learned French in Europe. I traveled in Europe and like did a bunch of different things.
How'd you get to Oregon? So you're born and raised in Chattanooga,
yeah, Chattanooga,
right?
And then I just wanted to leave the South. I wanted to be in a different part of the country. Okay. And like different people. Like, I was just really curious.
Did you have friends out there? Did you just
like my best friend was deciding between Portland, Oregon, and San Francisco. And I was deciding kind of between, I think, Chicago. I was thinking about Chicago or Portland because I wanted to live in a city at the time. I was like, I felt like I was just a small town girl. You know, Chattanooga, it's like kind of small. I don't know. It was small at the time, it felt like. So then I wanted to go to a city, and he was like, I was like, if you go to Portland, I'll go to Portland with you. And he chose Portland, gladly. So yeah, so that's how I ended up there. And I just got a plane and with one bag and went out. Right on. Yeah. I mean, I planned for it a little bit. Like, worked in restaurants and things.
Yeah.
Saved my dollars.
A strategic nomad.
Yeah, saved my dollars. Yeah. And I went to college. I finished school. That was my thing.
What'd you get your degree in?
Yeah, I have a degree in psychology.
Right on.
Yeah. So that was something interesting to study. I've never really done, you know, anything like technically with it. You know, you use that kind of thing all the time, I guess. But yeah. And so then I just wanted to do my own thing. It felt like for the first time ever. And, you know, I was in like, you know, a strict school and college and like really like a lot of deadlines and like all the time. And then once I graduated, it was like the first time I was going to do whatever I wanted. And so I went to the other side of the country. And
good for you.
Yeah. Just something new. And I wanted to travel, basically.
That's something I think a lot of people want to do.
Yeah.
But the rules of society,
God, they weigh heavy.
They imprint themselves on us so much that we don't allow ourselves that freedom, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we'll fast forward. You're still playing around campfires, doing that thing. At what point did you start writing? What point did you really start taking it a little more serious?
Yeah, I've always kind of I've written, sporadically, I feel like, throughout my life. And the same with guitar, playing and whatnot. But then I bought some property at 22 acres of raw land in Washington State with my ex and 2 friends. And it was like gorgeous in the foothills of Mount Rainier, and it was really beautiful, but it was really hard living. We didn't, like I said, it was raw. We didn't have electricity. We had like little 1-room cabins and things, and then it was just the wrong relationship. So and it just wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. I was always really restless the whole time in my 20s. I was just restless, and I didn't know what I wanted. And like we all kind of have to figure things out, I guess.
I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah. And so then I was just kind of miserable, and that's when I started really digging into writing again, and writing country songs. And
how many years were you in Washington State?
I was only there for about a year.
Okay.
We had, I'd been out there for a long time, but we bought the property, and by the time we moved onto it, I was there for about a year, and that was just a really trying year. That was a hard year, and I had a lot of alone time on the side of the mountain, and I was just kind of really freaking out inside.
Well, I read a quote. You said you were feeling alone, but it was a good kind of alone. And I was curious what you meant by that.
Well, I mean, I think it's just something that I had to go through, basically. Like, I think it brought me on the other side of that, coming out on the other side now.
Right.
It's like just something that was necessary to kind of push me in a different direction.
Yeah.
Which was east, and coming back to this side of the country. Yeah.
So you left everything. You left the boyfriend, the land, pretty much your whole life at that time.
Yeah.
And was that the goal? You're moving back to pursue music as a career.
Mm-hmm.
So you get back to Nashville.
Well, I went to Asheville first. Yeah, I went to Asheville first, and started gigging in and around Asheville, and then I went back out west to work for the harvest season, and then I was going back to Asheville, but then the closer, on my drive, I spent a couple weeks driving, meandering around a little bit, and
what were you in? Do you have a van, a travel van?
I had a station wagon.
Sweet.
The little 91 Corolla station wagon that I loved.
I know it has a name.
Oh God, it had several names actually. It was just my baby.
Right on.
Yeah. That thing just wouldn't die. It's still going, actually. My mechanic bought it from me, and then he sold it to somebody that's still driving it. But anyway, so it was just me and my dog, and driving across the country. I had some friends, stopping and seeing friends in hot springs and camping and stuff. And then the closer I got to east, the closer and closer I got, I was like, I feel like I need to go to Nashville. I was already planning on coming through on a Tuesday so I could go to Honky Tonk Tuesday. Because I've just I'd been on a Saturday, and they were slower, slower nights, not many people there. I think Sierra was actually singing the one night that I went on a Saturday. She was fronting the Cowpokes. And then, so I planned to come through on a Tuesday because,
did you know her
at
that time?
Dance. I wanted to hang. No.
Did you have many friends back here doing the singing thing?
No.
Or singer-songwriter, musician?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I didn't, I'm from Chattanooga, a couple hours away, but I wasn't, I was saying, wasn't really involved in music in that way.
Okay.
Until the last few years. So I planned to come through on a Tuesday night, and basically by the time I got to Nashville, I was like, I feel like I should move here. I feel like I should live here. And I'm just going to see how the night goes. And that'll let me know, something, you know. And then I had a great night. I met one of my best friends. Everybody I met that night I'm still friends with. And, you know, I made more friends in the first night I was in Nashville than the 6 months I lived in Nashville, North Carolina. And I don't know why that is, but...
I think things start to align, right? As weird as this universe is, like I think things just start to align.
And I don't like to blame it on Nashville or the people there or anything. You know, I was going through a weird time, like for sure, during the time I was living there. And, but yeah, so I don't know. It was great coming back to Nashville, and I had a great time. And then some other things kind of just like fell in place and lined up. And then I I decided basically right then that was good.
Yeah.
I was going to go to Nashville.
So another quote, you've got quite a few that I want to mention here, but it says, I was supposed to be living the dream, referring to Washington State, but I was pretty miserable. Living on the land, no running water, no electricity, and I was in the wrong relationship. And so then now I'm going to quote a lyric from your song, Our Love Is Done. Maybe it's time to walk away. How do you know? Like, how did you know, like, it's time to walk away?
I mean, I feel like in that situation, I literally came to a breaking point. And I remember literally the moment where I was like, I'm done. And it was like a big deal, you know, to like leave the relationship, but also the land, you know, like, I don't know, like buying land and, you know, I was planning on being there for the rest of my life, you know? And so that was a big deal. It took me the whole year. The whole year I was there, I was like contemplating leaving the whole time. Like, but I couldn't get myself there. I couldn't walk away. Right. And so, and like, you know, I don't know. I kind of thank him now, but I think it was literally my boyfriend at the time was kind of freaking out on me, and we had been like holed up, you know, working, you know, on this farm, and he was kind of like losing it, and I was kind of, you know, losing it in a different way, and I just remember him kind of freaking out on me, and I had this moment in my mind, and I started laughing, and like, you know, I was like, okay, I'm just stopping this right now, and this is not going to be my life anymore. Right. And I'm going to leave, and I'm going to do something completely different. Right. And I don't think I'll ever forget that moment.
Well, I asked that because it's something that I know I question that a lot. Like, how do you trust your intuition? You know, that feeling. Yeah. And I think it comes with time, at least for me. I used to ignore those feelings or pulls or pushes, and I do my best to tune into those things now.
Yeah. I think I just go, like on feeling and the way, you know, because when you know, like when you really know, it is hard to ignore, I think.
Yes.
And
you're
like
right.
I am, like my personality is a little bit like impulsive. Like,
yeah.
Let's do something crazy. Or like, let's be wild. Like, I don't know, that like definitely, you know, lends itself to my personality. Definitely like that. So I think that like maybe, you know, following my heart or listening to my gut is kind of just a part of my personality. And I just have always kind of gone with it, you know, since I started living on my own, and I got out of the whole, like, I was a kid and like doing, you know, the high school mentality thing. And then like, once I was like, okay, I'm going to do whatever I want. I did. And, you know, I did some fun things, you know, and learned a lot, and it was a warbling path, but, you know.
What are you doing to tune into that? Like, how are you aligning with whatever that is?
I mean, I think it's like deep down, like I just can't be happy unless I'm really doing that. I feel like I can't, like, it just doesn't feel right, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's like, sometimes I feel like I don't really have a choice, like, to kind of go that way, because, you know, they say that grass is always greener. I guess I think about it too, like, if I start doubting like what I'm doing, you know, even though I think I'm on the right path, or I'm like following my heart or whatever, you know, and I start doubting, and I think about if I were doing something else where I'm more on a mainstream path, or more, you know, like following the straight and narrow, or whatever that phrase is. Right. That I wouldn't be happy doing that either. You know, when you think about if you're doing something else, I'm like, no, then I'd just really be going crazy. Yeah. So I think, I don't know, like,
one of those things for me. I think when I'll think about things. I'm like, I think I should do this, think I should do that, and I don't act on it. Like, that's when the anxieties just go through the roof. But when I take action and I start doing things, and it's like, it may not be the right thing to do, but I start to figure it out.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense
That's a
at
good
all.
point. Yeah, I feel that for sure. Like it's hard. I think a lot about that and like doing things and getting things done. And I feel like a lot of pressure sometimes about that. And like anxiety builds up, like you're saying. And if you just do something, it feels so much better.
Yeah.
And I feel like that I struggle like with that with music because I don't have a set routine every day. Like my life is very like almost, what do I want to do now? Like there's always, certain things I have to do, but it's like, writing songs and getting things done and getting in the studio. It's all really up to me.
Right.
And so it's like when the anxiety builds up, it can be like debilitating, or you can like start doing something and then it's like flow.
Well, I think on a macro level, people, and I was like this for a long time, like, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? And I think the only way to figure it out is by doing it, doing something, and
That's
you can start weeding things out, and that may not be your path, but by being on that path, by going to Nashville, you're going to align with those people that align with you.
Yeah.
And then you are able to fill your cup, I guess, and feel that satisfaction. You have a quote that says, "I like to write when I'm angry or sad," which works for country songs. What is set the scene? Like, how does that demystify this songwriting process? How does it work for you?
Well, sometimes there's really not a whole lot to it except that I am sad or angry. Something has happened that I feel really emotional about, in whatever way. And I feel like I'm going to feel better if I sit down with the guitar, and sometimes that doesn't necessarily lend itself to like the best song being written. Sometimes it's just like an emotional waterfall of things that no one needs to hear, and sometimes it works out great, or sometimes it's really just like almost weeks of like feels like ruminating inside and not even really sitting down to write anything down or record anything. But it's like I feel myself working through something,
right.
And then I can tell a song is gonna come, and like that, it's like a feeling, some kind of.
I like this. You said, I like to have me nights.
Yeah. That's when I know I'm there. I'm like, okay, it's time.
Yeah. You say you start by drinking a little wine, reminisce about the past, reminisce about my past, and see what comes up emotionally, and use that for material.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like if I feel like I want to write or I need to write, or sometimes I have just sat down and like drudged up old things. That's like for inspiration, like something that I want to write about. Like I remember when I wrote Green Eyes, which is one of the songs on the record, I remember taking a break from work. I was sitting like in the grass and I was chilling, and I was like thinking about, I wanted to write a song about Jennifer, who was my ex-girlfriend. And I like just sat there like thinking about it and thinking about when we met, and then that kind of sparked a song. So
pen and paper?
No. Well, sometimes, but no. Normally it's like singing and then re-singing and
do a
then
recording
at
like
first.
in your
Yeah, I'll
phone?
do recordings. Yeah. It seems like I'll get to pen and paper like shortly. Yeah. Normally in that first sitting. Yeah. So
tell me this. So, like, what are the dynamics of life, like, as a singer-songwriter? What are the dynamics of life that inspire you to write, and then what are the dynamics that hinder that inspiration?
The dynamics that inspire writing.
For you, and it's different for everybody, I'm sure.
What do you mean dynamics?
So it seems like you lean more into, like, the sad country-type stuff.
Yeah. I definitely do. I think that's like what's been going on in my life in the last few years. And like, when I was writing Hardliner, and it was a really kind of cathartic time in my life, and like a lot of changes and shifts. So I think that came through in my writing.
Right.
Like I was telling you earlier, I wrote a song yesterday or the day before that I'm really digging, and it's like, it's something it's totally not like that at all. It's kind of a fun, light song, and it's kind of cultural. It's still about my life, kind of, but I've been thinking a lot about, like, with everything that's going on in the world, I guess, like thinking a lot about how people are here and how people are there, and like, in our country, and like, I don't know, that came into this song, and just, little cultural differences or little things, because I'm from the South, because I'm a woman that came from the South, I feel like those little things are popping up in my writing.
Right on.
These days.
I want to pick one song in particular. What got you on my radar was a video that Mike Venata did with Western
cool.
AF, and I'm going to plug him again. I'm plugged in with Sierra, but I met him up in Crete at a music festival.
Okay.
And just a great guy.
He's awesome.
He's hilarious, and he's great at what he does, and I'm glad he's doing what he's doing for the music industry. But you played a song on there, Old Familiar Friend.
Yeah.
Where were you when you wrote it?
I was sad, and I thought, it was about a relationship that I thought like wasn't gonna, it was just like heading south, and so I was thinking a lot about that. The song is not necessarily about that, but that's what kind of inspired that song, and how, like sadness or heartbreak, it's like, really, that's the main point of the song, is that it's always going to be cycling in and out, for, whether you're heartbroken about someone or whatever you're heartbroken about, That's thinking of heartbreak as like an old familiar friend. And that's just, that's always going to be there for everybody. Right.
Yeah, and it never ends, right? Like, it's this cycle.
Yeah.
Talk about, there's a thing I like to talk about is expectations, and you have a quote that says, have high expectations of yourself, but never expect perfection. And so that's another thing. It's a cycle, and it never ends. Like this practice, having these expectations, having these goals, but for me, like not being attached to those goals if they don't work out according to my agenda.
It's hard.
How do you avoid that trap?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm just figuring that out. I'm working on that.
Yeah.
All the time, like, and getting caught up and choosing a career that's kind of like public and like, and being exposed and being out there for the world to see. I'm still, I don't know. It feels weird to me, honestly.
It's like a balancing act,
yeah,
right?
And like just trying not to like let it permeate into my head. It's just, I kind of want like a barrier, and so it doesn't freak me out or bother me or like basically just like trip me up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to like think about that or cause that to influence me.
Right. It seems like it's somewhat of a paradox, right? Like to have these goals and expectations and all of these things, but also at the same time be able to let go and let it be what it'll be.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
It's hard. Yeah. What do you do? do you have tips?
I don't know.
I'm genuinely curious.
I constantly ponder that, and I journal about it and I meditate about it. But that's it, is to be able to release the attachment to it, to be able to release the attachment to the identity or the idea of said success or whatever I want that to be, and let it know that I've prepared, know that I'm showing up, and I know my intentions, and I am consistent every single day, and I've got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
That's the best that I can do, and my best is going to continue to change. This may sound like some woo-woo stuff, but like that's it.
Yeah.
I think about it a lot, and that's the best I can come up with right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, speaking of like showing up and trying to do your best and saying that you're always doing your best, I I think for me, remaining kind of calm I've been trying to focus on that lately. Just like literally noticing how like up here I am, because I'm like, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta like, there's a timeline if I don't, figure it all out, and I'm like, I feel like me being like that all the time. And I've noticed that recently hard, and I'm like, I need to bring it down. I ended up stopping drinking, like maybe like a month ago or so, a little over a month ago. And like, I'm not like completely not drinking, like I'll have one or something like that, but I'm like, I haven't been drunk in over a month, and like, because the living in Nashville and playing honky tonk, and
it's good,
like
though.
It's a part, like the drinking is such a big part of it, or not necessarily just the drinking. I mean, the drinking, yes, and being out at bars and like playing bar gigs. I play like a lot of bar gigs, and I'm like, I'm getting kind of trying to move out of that, but it's like, I'm realizing how much anxiety it was kind of giving me.
Right.
And when I would wake up and just like not feel great, not feel motivated, my mood, like trying to get things done. And I'm just like, I'm going to try just cutting that out. And it's been great, honestly.
Good for you for like first being aware of all of those feelings going on. I did the same thing about a month ago. Cool. I was like, I want to see if I can not drink for 30 days. Yeah. And I did it. And what I noticed was coming up, like I'd meet friends for dinner or meet friends out, and like there's a social expectation that you need like, to have a beer or drink. And yes, I am drinking tequila right now.
Yeah.
But I haven't been drunk in, I don't know, I can't tell you how long, but it feels good to be able to wake up and I don't have a headache, and like, I'm able to function. And so I've definitely
and
cut
not have
back.
Anxiety too.
Yeah.
And be calm. That's how it's affected me. I'm like calm.
Yeah.
Or calmer.
Yeah. So it's been interesting. I couldn't tell you the last time I've been a week without a drink, you know, and not like belligerent or anything like that, but just to meet up and have a beer. It's like, why can't I just have a water?
Yeah. Water. I've gotten addicted to these bubbly waters.
Topo. I go to Topo Chico, So I think it's important to, no matter what you do, no matter what you're doing, I think it's important to surround yourself with the right people. And you have a quote that says, find musicians that are better than you and play with them. Can you talk about some of those people like early on that were influences on you, and even today? Who are those people you're leaning on and surrounding yourself with?
Well, like we were saying earlier, I didn't know a ton of folks in the, in the music industry and stuff here when I got here. And really, like, so many people, Nashville is filled with so many amazing musicians, especially in the country world. It's really top notch. And so it's like just being able to go out and see people play, that are like keeping country music alive and playing, the the kind of country that I like, which, lends itself to the more traditional vein. Timbo is an artist here in town that he's from Nashville, born and raised. And he, it's always like I could just go and sit at the bar wherever he's playing and just close my eyes and be alone and just feel so like inspired, and like, or just be able to like, if I'm feeling weird or funky or bad in any way, just like I could just sit there and listen to him sing. And that's like that's still here in Nashville. Sierra's the same way. Like, she was doing gigs at Jane's kind of recently, downtown, and it's like, that's awesome to have in Nashville. There's great country music still being played, and so to be able to be around that and have those shows at my fingertips have been amazing, and to get to know the players and just to literally like to jam, like get together in the backyard, and hang and jam. One of the biggest musical kind of people in my life right now is Mose Wilson, who helped co-produce my record. and I play a lot of music with him. And we started just kind of getting together and jamming and swapping songs a couple years ago. And I've learned a ton from him. And so it's been, I feel like since I've gotten to Nashville, I've been like a sponge, and I feel like I'm just kind of soaking it all in.
It's definitely like I told you before the camera started rolling, like this is really my first week or first time to be in Nashville and experience. So we went out last night, went to the basement and a few other places, and that was the one thing that I noticed. It's like there's musicians everywhere and they're good.
Yeah.
You know, and so I get, like it seems like if you want to do this thing, you can get as good as you want, and those people are out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can't, and then it's a balance between, you know, not letting it get to your head either, you know, like you can't get discouraged, you know, because it's like you can't have, I don't know, I feel like it's not great to have an attitude of like, I want to be the best, you know. It's like you got to be you, and like you always want, there's always things to learn, there's always room for improvement, you know. I truly believe that. And,
how do you avoid that then, like the comparison game to others that are out there?
Yeah, it's hard. You know, you just can't do it. It's just like, I just can't do it, you know. I have to focus on me and just remember there's room for everybody, and I just want to make music that I love and share it with people, and you know, and it's cool. It's like it's a really friendly, like non-competitive culture here.
How does that work? Like, talk about non-competitive. Like, how do the collaborations work? Are you co-writing with anybody? Do you like co-writing? Would you rather write alone?
I prefer to write alone. I sometimes co-write. That just depends on whoever is doing it, who's setting it up, you know, like I haven't been collaborating as much because I've just been busy and playing shows and things like that. But I feel like it's just whoever, you know, your friends are who you like playing with, you know, and like we're all you know, a lot of the players that live in Nashville are traveling a lot playing, but they also, you know, live here and are neighbors and friends, and, you know, let's get together.
So I know that money is an important thing. We have to have it to a certain level. How do you separate what you do as an artist, as a musician, from the business side of what you do?
Yeah, like...
Does that even cross your mind?
I mean, yeah, it's like I try to not think of it as a job because I don't want to like kind of ruin it a little bit, like, you know, because it sometimes is hard to perform when you're like not feeling up for it or something, but it's like, no, I have to do this, you know. Yeah, I just try to remember to like be grateful that this is what I get to do, you know, and like that helps me, you know, try to get in a good mindset about things. And like, you know, it's a lot about mindset and just trying to shift it, you know. So
because that negative chatter comes up.
Yeah.
It's by default, like it's going to come up.
Yeah.
How do you reframe that?
You know, I don't know. It's really just like the way that I try to think about it is like I know that I couldn't do anything else really at this point, like, and it's really just talking to myself about how this is, you know, this is what I need to be doing and want to be doing, and you know, the money it just is what it is, and it comes and it goes, and it's part of it. And I'm doing what I love for money, which is weird. It's like it's always a hobby before, and now it's switching.
Right.
And it's like it kind of trips me up sometimes, but for the most part, it's okay. You know?
Right on. So what is the end goal then? Like, what if you could imagine like the perfect career for Hannah Juanita? What does that look like?
That's a fun question. I don't know. I think like Like, that's funny because a friend that I first met when I first moved to Nashville, she was like talking about like, we're gonna have a Grammy, like and like have all these things, and like she had this really cool story about how she wanted to pull up. She was like, I want to pull up to someone. I want to be driving in my car and pull up, and I want to have the windows down and hear someone playing my song. And I was like, that's cool. I just like, yeah, I just want to make enough money, you know, and I want to remember to keep thinking of it like this is a journey, and like I want to make sure that like regardless of the money, I want to make sure that I'm always like playing music because I love it, and because it's what I want to do, and because I enjoy singing, and because nothing feels like that. Nothing feels like singing to me.
Right.
You know, when I so it's like I just need to keep remembering that. And that's, you know, if it changes and it's not, you know, if money is taking the joy of it away, then I feel like I'm going to have to stop, you know. I have to do it differently.
I think that's a great outlook. And it's one of those things, you can check all the boxes and you can get all of the money, but if you're not fulfilled inside, it's like, what are we doing? Why am I doing this?
Yeah. So I just want to think of it more as this cool lifelong journey that I'm going to learn, and I want to be, I mean, I feel like I'm just getting started, and I feel I have so much to learn. I have so much to, you know, experience with music, and I don't know, it's exciting to think about just kind of diving in and going deeper and deeper with music, with songwriting, performing. I'm thinking a lot about that lately, and like holding my audience, and like getting like backing away from the bar gigs, like getting better shows, and like, you know, which is one thing that's come with the album, and like it's different to play, you know, at a bar, and you know, at a venue where people are listening to you, you know, like honky tonk, like a lot of that is, you know, you're playing, I still want to play dance halls. I still want to, you know, play in honky tonks, you know, when I play honky tonk music, you know, and have people dance and two-step, you know, that's awesome. But it's totally different performing, you know, in a different setting.
I've heard that said before. What does that mean? Like, what is it what's the biggest difference?
You're holding all this energy, like all this, you know, all the people are in that room. And you're, you know, like if you're in a band and there's like several people with a microphone or several people fronting the band or whatever, you know, then maybe the pressure is less. But if you're the, you know, not, you know, I have my band behind me, but I'm the one with the microphone, and like this is Hannah Juanita's show. Right. You know, and like having to, you know, and you're like, have everyone there with you. And it's like, I've been thinking a lot about like, kind of like holding my audience and taking them on this through this experience. Yeah. And like trying to think more, you know, even just in terms of like setting up my set, like the songs and the order, and like how I want to do it, and how I want the whole thing to feel and move through. And it's been fun thinking about that lately.
So you have a set list?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, I use a set list.
I'm curious to know this. You mentioned like this thing is a practice, it is a journey, continuing to improve. How are you doing that? Like, how are you continuing to improve on the guitar? How are you continuing to improve voice and writing along with those as well?
Yeah. Practicing guitar, playing, learning new songs, learning other people's songs, learning the best players' songs, you know.
What does practicing the guitar look like for you?
To me, it's like...
And I'm asking that specifically because I would say like, whatever that level is under like amateur, like I'm below that. You know? I'm below that. Okay. And so like, when I sit down, it's like I'll typically just play the same shit. Yeah. And it's like I've hit that plateau, and Daniel Donato has helped with that, you know. Yeah. But I mean, he's in Nashville. It's a Zoom call, and it's hard. So yeah, I'm genuinely curious. Like, what is, if you had some advice for me? Like, what do you tell me?
I would pick, you know, specific songs that incorporate things that you're really trying to work on as far as guitar goes. You know, I don't know guess you're doing mostly rhythm playing and stuff like that, and playing to a click is really helpful. I don't know if you do
like
that.
a metronome.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, because like before, you know, you're like sliding around. You know, Dana Donato. I mean, he's a fantastic player. He's insane. So he's like all over the place. But like just holding down the rhythm is hard too. You know, and being really good at it.
Right.
You know, because that's kind of like this glue, this this kind of foundation. A lot of the times for the whole groove, for the whole song. So there's a lot really to work on just with that. You know, maybe like Lester Flatt would be a good person to some like old school bluegrass.
Yeah. Okay.
Playing that's top notch. But yeah, I just like playing along and trying not to like overthink it, trying to like concentrate and feel it, but like, you know, let loose and let it flow. And like, you know, music is like this, it's like dancing. I try to think of it. I'm like, cause sometimes I'm like, I love dancing and I'm a two-stepper and I'm like pretty decent, you know. I think people maybe think I'm better than I think. I'm like, I'm really not a dancer. I'm not great at dancing, but it's like, you know, I'm good at following. So like really great dancers and great leads can spin me around. It looks all like fun and, you know, it's fun. But it's like, I feel like I'm better at like finding the rhythm like on my feet and dancing, you know? And so I'm like, it's like in your hand and then it's in your whole body. And so
it's a feel.
Like, yeah, it's this feel thing. And so yeah, I think a lot about that.
Yeah.
And playing guitar and
what about voice? Are you doing any voice lessons? Are you doing any voice exercises?
No, I just sing with other, you know.
Was that natural? Like your voice, it just came?
Yeah, I've always sung. Yeah.
Do you think it can be taught?
Singing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like.
I think it's both. I think, you know, people are predisposed, you know, have predispositions to singing, and, you know, some people have, you know, their tone is maybe more pleasing to our ears than other people's tones, you know, and, but I think there's definitely a lot that can be taught, and some of it, is just kind of what you're born with. But
right.
Normally there's enough there to work with, you know.
Right. What about writing?
Writing, yeah. For me, I know a lot of people like write and like, you know, work it like a muscle and practice writing and write a certain amount every day, and that's not me at all. That's not like, mine is when I feel like it, when something comes to my head, when I, you know, it's kind of when I want to. I don't try to force it, but I do try to critique it. I do, like, you know, I don't just like write whatever. Like, I think.
How would you say from the very first song you wrote, how has your writing process changed to how you write songs today?
Yeah, I think I lean towards being wordy, and I'm right now, something that I'm thinking about and working on is simplicity, being concise.
Less is more. Do you think a lot of writers do that though?
I think so. I think that's like a good rule of thumb for any kind of writing, really. A lot of times. Maybe not always, but I feel like I remember that from school. But I think it can apply in songwriting a lot. You know, it's it's like, be as powerful as you can with fewer words.
Right.
You know, kind of thing. Yeah.
What about are you reading? I hear a lot of songwriters reading either poetry or books and pulling inspiration or.
No. Not too much. I listen to a lot of song lyrics. You know, listen to music. I haven't been reading recently, really, too much.
Here's a fun question I like to ask. If you could go back in time, hypothetically speaking, and with the knowledge you have today, and give your 20-year-old self advice, what advice would that be?
Like, be patient, probably. Slow down, be patient. You know, I think I was pretty good at following my heart, you know, kind of thing, and listening to my gut, like we were talking about. But just like listening and being patient. I feel like listening, it applies to music, it applies to the rest of my life. Listening is hard to do. Being patient is the other thing that's hard for me to do.
Listening to yourself or to others?
More to others, I think. Listening to others, and just like really listening, you know. And as far as music goes, I feel like as a singer and as a vocalist, I like for so many years only thought about the singing and the words, and didn't listen to them, just the whole song or the whole you know, the music as much.
Yeah.
And there's so many like nuances and with music as far as listening goes. It's like you can really there's so many levels of listening. You can go really, really, really deep. And I think just like really trying to go deep with listening.
It goes
like
hand in hand with
like
patience,
the best
right?
thing that you can do. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's one I debate with myself all the time. How do you determine what is productive use of your time versus non-productive use of your time?
I'm like one of those people that like will make a list just to like mark things off. Like I feel so good to mark things off a list and feel productive.
Right.
And that's hard with music too. Like it's, you know, because
it's not linear, right?
It's not linear. No. And like all the work and a lot of the work that you do as an artist is unseen. I was talking to a friend recently about that. And so wait, what exactly was the question again?
How do you determine like what is productive use of your time versus non-productive? Because like once upon a time, I thought like I had to get out there and bust my ass, and that was all I would do is just work, and I wouldn't take any me time. Like I wouldn't take a step back, and I feel like that's so important to do that. So that is actually productive time, even though it feels like I'm not doing anything.
And I have to like
very productive.
Like work that out in my mind. I mean, like this is productive, and I can relax and do this right now, and take me time, or like time for your soul, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's productive in this way because of this, because I need this, you know, whatever. Explain it. I feel like I have to just kind of explain to myself, you know, because I know the importance of taking time for myself and taking, you know, but I also know the importance of not taking too much, and like that's more my thing. I'm like, I need to like make sure that I'm, you know, like work, you know, I want to work hard.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm for years I've never been close to like, you know, the grind of like most of America, you know, like I've never been like that. I can't like run myself into the ground. So, but I want to work hard, you know, and I want to feel, you know, busy and do things. I want to make things happen, you know? And so I just kind of try to keep it at a level. I'm like, I'm just each day making something happen, you know?
Yeah, just the consistency over intensity, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And knowing I want to work hard, but knowing that I also get to relax. And, you know, I think rewarding yourself kind of too. It's like thinking of it that way, and like, okay, for the next 2 days, you know, I worked a ton this week. These next 2 days, I'm going to relax. I don't have to open Instagram or my email if I don't want to. You know? Yeah.
It's a constant search for me, and it's a balancing act of finding that and being able to trust myself to know, okay, yes, it's time for a break, and now it's time to get your ass back
and you have
to
to be
work.
honest with yourself too.
Yeah.
Because I think I did that for years, where I just like didn't really realize I was like just like letting myself believe little lies, like where you're just like not being totally, you're just like, yeah, it's fine, like da da da, just like not really thinking it through, and like it's, you know, just letting things slide when, you know.
That's why I was interested to know that one of those first questions, like how did you know it was time to leave Washington State? Like how were you able to be honest with yourself and really trust that intuition?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like sometimes it's undeniable.
Tell me this, like before you go on stage, Hannah, like do you have any pregame rituals? Do you have any superstitions that you're doing before you go on?
No.
What does that look like then? What does it look like going on before you perform? What are you doing?
I think I think in my head, I'm just trying to, get more in the mindset of, I mean, I want to be calm. You know, they're always like fun little jitters, but like remaining calm and remaining kind of like grounded, you know, in myself. And so that I can like, you know, be myself and give of myself, you know, my songs.
When did the jitters go away, do you think? Like before
I don't
a
know.
show?
I mean, hopefully never. No, you need a little bit, you know. It's fun to have a little bit. But
yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes they're not there for the most part, you know.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's like, I think that I'm happy to be at a point to where I feel fairly comfortable, you know, like, because then I can just, you know, stay kind of, grounded. I guess grounded is kind of feels like the best word to use.
Grounded, confident.
Instead of just
well,
not like,
confident
just
too,
when my
that-
mind is settled, you know, like.
So I have to think that comes from confidence. Where does the
Yeah.
confidence come from? Is that from just doing show after show after show and doing it for years?
Yeah, I think that does have a lot to do with it, because coming out of COVID, I know that I felt it, and I know a lot of my friends felt it. Like the first time they're on a stage again in a year, it was like, oh. I remember one time, I remember Timbo calling me up. I like went to see him play somewhere, and he called me up to sing, and I remember being like, like.
Yeah.
Feeling like, whoa. So yeah, I think it definitely has to do with just like putting yourself out there and doing it over and over again,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm hopefully having a good experience with that, so that, you know, you know. And I feel like, and it's encouraging knowing like that I do feel pretty comfortable doing it, and it's a thing that like a lot of people would be like, no. You know, I'm not getting up on a stage. Like, I'm not,
Right.
you know? And I'm like, well, I mean, it's like, I kind of like it. So it lends itself naturally, I guess.
On the flip side of that, like, I like to ask this, like, what is your favorite failure that at the time you didn't realize why you were going through it, but it led to a later success?
That's a good question. I mean, it feels like, you know, you know, in my 20s, like, it was like everything that I tried was kind of a failure, you know, like, because it wasn't like I felt like I was searching for something, and then like, I feel like, you know, I finally kind of found it with music. It is the first thing that I've done that I kind of lost my restlessness, you know, like, that kind of discontent, searching feeling. And like when I started pursuing music, it like really, it just stimulates me a lot in a lot of different ways, you know, even the business side kind of, you know, side of it too. So it felt kind of like a lot of the things, probably like the land, like, you know, it was a big deal to buy land to me, you
Right.
know, and, and so, kind of failing on that and leaving and just backing out on it. I mean, I think it was a bit of a failure, but it was also like, chose not to look at it that way conveniently, because,
Right.
you know, it did it brought everything in my life to a head to like kind of move me forward. So
Yeah. And I think, that's so important to because we can choose the lens in which we choose to view these things.
right.
And we may not realize that at the time. It may take 6 months, a year, 5 years to be able to look back and
Yeah.
be grateful for it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I went through a divorce about 5 years ago. Didn't understand it at the time. It was dark, deep depression type deal. So grateful that happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it did. It leaning into the unknown, what else may be out there, and it's the I don't know if I said it on this show or another one, but like gratitude is a superpower.
Yeah.
And we can really tap into it.
Yeah.
Good things happen.
Yeah.
How would you define your style
Musically.
yeah, and in life?
Well, I mean, musically, definitely say, you know, I play country music. I feel like I write country music. And I don't know if that is really a style in
Well, everybody's
life,
got their own
but-
unique voice, even though it's country music.
Yeah.
Hannah Juanita's still Hannah Juanita. Like,
Yeah,
what does
I mean,
that
I guess
make
it's kind of
up?
like the hardliner thing. Like, you know, that's kind of been in it recently. And it's just kind of like a fiery side of my personality a little bit, you know, and kind of...
Define what that means. What does hardliner mean to you?
Hardliner, it's kind of always evolving. And at first, it started out as like a fun band name. Hannah Juanita and the Hardliners, and then I was like became the Hardliner, and I don't know, just sort of like kind of tough cookie kind of vibe. And I don't know, I think like Loretta Lynn's a Hardliner. Like she wrote some great, you know, possibly controversial songs, you know, like back in the day that were like, you know, it's uncommon to hear women singing about those, you know, kind of things that she sang about. So like I would say, to give you context, like Loretta Lynn's a hardliner in that way.
Right on.
You know? Yeah, and just like, to me, it's also evolved into feeling this, like, knowing, like, setting boundaries and, like, knowing where to be, like, drawing my line. Drawing my line on you. I'm walking away, you know, like, you know, dealing with people, like, living in this world, you know, and, like, knowing when to draw the line, when, you know, like, know where you're at, know where other people are at, know when it's time to leave, know when it's time to stay. You know, it's like life is a crazy dance in that way. So being a hardliner is kind of like honing that wisdom.
Yeah. What I saw a quote the other day. It says, "What you allow will continue." And so without those, that's something I've been leaning into in the recent years, like setting boundaries.
Yeah.
But I did see another quote that says, "Your boundaries don't have to be lined with a hot wire fence."
Yeah.
So you don't have to be an asshole to set boundaries.
Right.
You know, but it is okay if you want to say no to an invite. You can say no, and if that other person doesn't agree with it or wants to judge you, then that's on them. You know.
Yeah.
So we'll roll into some lighter questions. This segment's brought to you by Ghostwood Distilling Company, and like I said, we're gonna lighten it up a little bit. So if you could go back in time to any time period for 1 week, when would that be?
Any time period for 1 week.
Ever. Any time period ever.
I've always thought it would be cool to be a part of like a nomadic tribe. You know? Maybe like farther back than gypsies, but just like maybe to a time where like hunter-gatherer kind of nomadic, intense life.
Sweet.
Kind of survival based, maybe. Sounds like for a week, you said?
Yeah.
I think I'd make it a week.
You're in a public restroom and somebody knocks on the door. What is your response?
Occupied.
I don't care what the answer is. It makes me laugh. Every time it makes
To
me
hear
laugh.
someone say-
Yeah. Because it's something we all go through,
That's
but we
a
never
funny
talk
question.
about. So what is the best investment you've made in the last 6 months under $100?
Oh, okay. My lawn chair. I've been saying that all summer. I bought like a $20 fold-out lawn chair, and it's really light. It has handles. I like take it with me everywhere I go. If I'm just like going to a friend's house, I'm like, well, I've got my lawn
set it
chair,
up in their
and
living
it's like,
room.
yeah, well, no, outside. I mean, you know, and it's like we're just like hanging by the fire instead of like not in my camp chair. I'm in like this full fold-out lawn chair.
Hell
And
yeah.
it just like ups my comfort level and my vibes. And I'm just like,
I love it. Self-care.
somebody gave me the guitar. I'm going to sing a song. Yeah. It's nice. Yeah.
What is the last thing you Googled?
Oh my God. I don't know. Last thing I Googled, I think I Googled like a recipe last night for salmon.
Sweet. Sweet. Favorite cartoon as a kid?
Scooby-Doo.
Are you a save for a rainy day or spend it while you got it kind of gal?
Oh, save it for rainy day or spend it while I got it? I don't know. I want to say I'm both.
Fair enough. I think I am too.
It just depends. I don't know. I can be either way, really.
Yeah. What's an unusual hobby or something that you do that most people don't know that you do?
I like to ride my bicycle, hiking.
Sweet.
I don't know. I don't think I have any deep hobby secrets.
What is a song that you wish you wrote?
The first thing that comes to my mind is Wild and Blue. It's a John Anderson song. And I've been digging that song hard lately. And
what is it?
It's just kind of my favorite song right now. It's called Wild and Blue by John Anderson.
Yeah, but what was the thing you just said?
Oh, I said I've been digging it hard. I said I've been, I feel like I go through periods where I just have like a favorite song to sing.
Uh-huh.
And right now, that's it.
Right on. Okay, last question, my friend. If you could have a billboard, metaphorically speaking, to get a message out to millions of people, what does your message say?
It's just life we're living.
I love it. It is.
Just
And
life.
it can be so simple, yet we humans complicate the shit out of it.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Make it such a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you're down to play one. To play it.
Yeah.
To close
Let me
us
hold
out.
Mose. Yeah, I want to go to the bathroom.
Before you do though, let folks know where they can hear your tunes, what you have coming up,
Cool.
where they can find the album.
Yeah, so the album is out there everywhere, all the streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, wherever you choose. I guess those are the main two. I'm getting back in the studio soon, so there should be new music next year.
Sweet. Look forward to hearing
Keeping
it.
it coming.
Look forward to hearing it.
Yeah. So we're going to play, I have Mose Wilson here with me, and he's an artist himself and a songwriter, and he helped me co-produce my record. And we're going to do a song that I wrote called Love Like Yours. Will a new love ever walk through my door? Will I ever find another love like yours? Well, my door is open wide until the day that I find another kind of love just like yours. You were the one who made me smile. For you I'd walk 1,000 miles. You sang me love songs that brought tears to my eyes, and you made me moan all through the night. Tell me, will I ever find another kind of love just like yours? Will a new love ever walk through my door? Will I ever find another love like yours? Well, my door is open wide until the day that I find another kind of love just like yours. You were the one who stole my heart, and I prayed that we would never part. How can you turn and walk out of my life when you never felt love like mine? Tell me, will I ever find another kind of love just like yours? Another kind of love just like yours. Tell me, will I ever find another kind of love just just like yours.
Man, that was amazing. And Mose, thank you for coming in, my friend, and
glad to be here.
And joining Hannah. And Hannah, thank you for your time today.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed hearing your story. And let the folks listen and know where they can find the new album, where you're going to be playing throughout the fall, September on.
Yeah. So the album is on all the streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple. And yeah, it's there for you to listen to whenever you want. New music coming. I'm going back into the studio this fall, so new music next year. And I'm playing in September. I'm playing Merle Fest in North Carolina. I think that's the 18th, September 18th. And then I've got an Alaska tour. Mose is going with me. A Hannah Juanita, Mose Wilson, Alaska tour. There's a bunch of dates all over there. So
right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, best of luck to you guys.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
See y'all down the road.
Thanks, Mike.